Content standard, rusting. Learning standard. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to describe metal corrosion process as a redox reaction. This is a beautiful shiny iron key. What will happen to this beautiful iron key when it is exposed to water and oxygen for several weeks? A layer of reddish-brown iron oxide is formed. It is called rust. It means rusting of iron has occurred. Rusting of iron is a metal corrosion. It is a chemical process that occurs when iron is exposed to oxygen and water and undergoes a redox reaction. Apart from rusting, corrosion can also occur on other metals. What is corrosion? Corrosion of metal is a redox reaction where the metal is oxidized spontaneously when the metal atoms release electrons to form metal ions. It can be represented by this half equation. Atom A releases one electron to form a positive ion. Do you know the external of the Statue of Liberty is made of copper? The original color of the statue is reddish-brown. Over time, the copper oxidizes to form green color. How does rust form? Which metals do you think undergo corrosion faster, copper or iron? In the presence of water and oxygen, rust will form. Let's take a look at the mechanism of rusting of iron. The surface of the iron in the middle of the water droplet where the concentration of oxygen is low, iron atom loses electrons and undergoes oxidation to form iron to ion. It is an oxidation process. Electrons flow through the iron to the end of the water droplet where the concentration of oxygen is higher. Oxygen that dissolves in water accepts electrons and forms hydroxide ion. It is a reduction process. Iron to ion produced reacts with hydroxide ion to form iron to hydroxide. Iron to ion is green, but rust is brown because iron to hydroxide undergoes continuous oxidation with oxygen to form hydrated iron trioxide, which is known as rust. How do different metals in contact with iron affect rusting? Let's do some investigation. Prepare 3 test tubes and label as A, B, C. For test tube A, place an iron nail. For test tube B, place an iron nail that is coiled with zinc. For test tube C, place an iron nail that is coiled with copper. Then, prepare hot agar mixture. It contains hot agar, potassium hexacyanopyrrate 3, and phenolphthalein. Pour hot agar mixture into each test tube until the nails are completely immersed. place all test tubes on the test tube rack and leave aside for 1 day. What is the function of potassium hexacyanoferrate 3? It is used to detect the presence of ion-to-ion. When ion-to-ion presence, a dark blue color produced. The more ion-to-ions form, the higher the intensity of the dark blue color produced. What is the function of phenolphthalein? It is used to detect the presence of hydroxide ion. It turns pink in the region where oxygen is taking electrons. A day has passed. Let's see the result. In test tube A, dark blue coloration is formed. It shows ion-to-ion is produced. Ion atoms lose electrons, forming ion-to-ions. Thus, iron rusts and is oxidized. In test tube B, no dark blue coloration formed. It shows no ion-to-ion is produced. When iron comes into contact with a more electropositive metal, such as zinc, rusting of iron slows down. Zinc atoms release electrons more easily than iron. In test tube C, the intensity of dark blue coloration formed is high. When iron comes into contact with less electropositive metals such as copper, the rusting becomes faster. More ion-to-ion is produced. Iron atoms lose electrons, forming ion-to-ion faster. Based on the observations, can you arrange these test tubes according to the tendency of iron to release electrons? Yes, correct. Well done. In conclusion, rusting of iron is a redox reaction. Rusting of iron slows down when it comes into contact with more electropositive metals, while rusting of iron speeds up when it comes into contact with less electropositive metals.